Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something uncomfortable, but true. If you do not assign order to your life, disorder will assign itself to you. And the morning is the first line of defense. It's the place where you decide if you're in charge or if you're just drifting. The first 10 minutes after you wake up, they are not just minutes. They are your most critical negotiations with reality. You're either saying, I'm here to engage with life, or you're saying, I'll let life happen to me. If you think discipline is optional, you will suffer. But if you learn to carry responsibility, especially when it's inconvenient, you become someone worth depending on. And that matters not just to you, but to the people who count on you, your family, your future, even your past. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need a perfect morning routine from a self-help book. You just need to stand up, straighten your back, and say, comfort is seductive. It whispers in your ear that you deserve to take it easy, that the burden is too heavy, that maybe someone else will carry it. It offers the illusion that avoiding struggle is the same as finding peace. But that's not peace. That's stagnation in anesthetized life that avoids difficulty at the expense of meaning. Responsibility, on the other hand, is not glamorous, it's heavy. It's often thankless. It doesn't give you the dopamine hit that comfort does. But it is the only thing capable of grounding a person in real purpose. Human beings are not designed to thrive in idle states. You might think the ideal life is one of endless leisure, free of pressure or demand. But anyone who's tasted that for long enough knows the bitter truth. Without responsibility, life becomes hollow. When you're not needed, you begin to wonder if you matter at all. And when you avoid the weight of responsibility, your soul begins to shrink under the weight of regret. So here's the difficult truth. Meaning in life is directly proportional to the amount of responsibility you're willing to shoulder voluntarily. That doesn't mean you take on anything and everything. It means you start by taking on what is yours. Your habits, your attitude, your future. You carry what is yours to carry, and you carry it well. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but willingly. Why willingly? Because forced responsibility leads to resentment. But chosen responsibility that transforms you. It molds you into someone stronger, clearer, more capable of facing the world. There's a reason ancient myths, religions, and philosophies all point in the same direction. If you want to be whole, you must be willing to suffer for something greater than yourself. Look around you, what kind of people do you admire? The ones who take the easy road? Or the ones who accept the call to step into the storm and stand their ground? Whether it's a parent, a soldier, a teacher, a builder, or even a student, those who embrace the load are the ones who create meaning, not only for themselves, but for others. Comfort is easy because it requires nothing of you. Responsibility demands transformation. It will force you to wake up earlier, to manage your time, to master your moods, to say no to things that feel good in the moment but erode your future. It might cost you sleep. It might cost you popularity. It might even cost you relationships that depended on your weakness. But ask yourself, what's the alternative? A life of endless comfort is a life of quiet despair. A life where the days blur together because nothing is asked of you. And if nothing is asked of you, nothing within you is ever fully awakened. Responsibility activates something ancient in the human spirit. It reminds you that you were not born just to survive. You were born to serve, to build, to overcome. You were born to shape chaos into order and to stand up straight while doing it. That doesn't happen through comfort. That happens when you accept the cost of becoming someone worth trusting. Even the smallest responsibility matters. Making your bed, showing up on time, following through on what you said, these aren't small things. They are proof that you respect yourself enough to live intentionally. You are training your mind to say, what I do matters. I am not just floating through this world. I am shaping it. So if you want to change your life, stop asking what feels good and start asking what needs to be done. That question alone can pull you out of apathy. It can save you from years of wandering. Because the truth is, comfort will never build the person you were meant to become. But responsibility will. Responsibility over comfort every single time. It's the harder choice, but it's the right one. Because when your life gets difficult, and it won't be comfort that saves you. It will be your character. And character is forged under the weight you willingly carry. Choose that. And keep choosing it. Every morning, every day. Especially when it's hard. That's the path forward. Not the easy one, but the meaningful one. Before the world ever lays a hand on your time, your energy, your focus, you've already made a decision. That decision is either conscious or unconscious, but it shapes the entire trajectory of your day. If you don't bring order into your life at the beginning of the day, then the natural pull of the world will drag you into chaos. That's not a theory. That's a psychological, emotional, and practical reality. When you wake up, you're vulnerable. Your mind is unshaped, your emotions are reactive, and your body is still transitioning from rest to readiness. If you start your day without intention, without structure, you're handing the steering wheel of your life over to noise, distraction, and impulse. And what's worse, you don't even notice it. You think you're just checking your phone or easing into the day, but in truth, you're surrendering the most powerful psychological real estate you have, the beginning. That beginning, those first few minutes, the first hour is your opportunity to establish order. Not the kind of order that's cold or rigid, but the kind that gives you clarity, direction, and strength. You need that, not just because it's productive, but because your mind craves structure. Chaos is not just external, it lives in our internal world as uncertainty, anxiety, procrastination, and emotional volatility. And when you don't begin your day with order, you feed that chaos. You let it grow. And it will eat away at your capacity to focus, to act, to care. Order is not about control for control's sake. It's about crafting an environment and a mindset where you're actually able to function well. Think about it like this: a soldier doesn't walk onto the battlefield in his pajamas. A pilot doesn't take off without a checklist. Why? Because they understand that preparation is not optional when stakes are high. Well, the stakes of your life are high: your future, your relationships, your work, your peace of mind. It's all on the line. And if you don't prepare yourself to face the day, then the day becomes your enemy. It overwhelms you, it wears you down. And over time it wins. So you need a system, a ritual, a series of small, disciplined actions that bring you into alignment before the world tries to scatter your attention. It doesn't need to be elaborate. You don't need incense, chanting, or a guru. You just need clarity. That might mean writing down your goals. It might mean silence and stillness. It might mean reading something meaningful, exercising, praying, or simply sitting in reflection with a pen and a page. The content matters less than the intent. What matters is that you're not starting your day passively. You're declaring through your actions, I am not here to drift. You're saying, I take this seriously. Because if you don't, the world will decide your priorities for you. And the world doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your mental health. It doesn't care about what's meaningful to you. It will feed you entertainment, outrage, urgency, and distraction. It will offer you 100 ways to stay busy and feel important while doing nothing that truly matters. And the only defense you have against that flood is the order you impose before it all begins. Order before chaos, not as a one-time event, but as a daily habit, as a discipline. You don't clean your room once and expect it to stay clean forever. You don't organize your mind once and think it will remain sharp on its own. The disorder returns every single day unless you confront it. You must face it before it grows. And the morning, that quiet, sacred time before the noise kicks in, is your best opportunity. This is not about becoming a productivity robot. This is about honoring your potential. It's about saying, I will not be tossed around by circumstance. I will not let laziness and confusion dictate my life. Because if you don't stand guard over your own mind, no one else will. If you don't choose order, chaos will choose you. And it never chooses kindly. So when you wake up tomorrow, ask yourself this: who's in charge right now, me or the noise? And then act accordingly. With purpose, with resolve, with structure. Not because it's easy, but because that's how you become someone capable of doing hard things. Discipline is not punishment. It's not something imposed on you by others. It's the structure you willingly place around your potential so that it can take form. Without discipline, your abilities stay dormant. Your ideas never materialize. Your confidence fades, and you become a slave to impulse, comfort, and chaos. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about restriction, about denying yourself things. But the truth is, discipline is not about denial. It's about direction. It's the decision to aim yourself at something that matters and then walk step by step toward it regardless of how you feel. That's the key, regardless of how you feel. Your identity is not based on your feelings. Feelings come and go. They rise with the weather, with your hormones, with your sleep and your diet. They are fleeting and often deceptive. If you build your life on feelings, you will build a house on sand. It might stand for a while, but when the storm comes, and it always comes, it will fall. Discipline, on the other hand, is a foundation. It says, I don't care what I feel like doing. I care about who I'm becoming. That's a shift in thinking. Most people chase the feeling of motivation. They wait to feel ready. They wait until they feel like it. But here's the truth. Waiting to feel motivated is the fastest way to stay exactly where you are. If you want to change, you have to act first. Discipline is acting in line with your values before your emotions give you permission. And when you do that consistently, something incredible happens. You begin to respect yourself. That's one of the most overlooked benefits of disciplined self-respect. Every time you follow through on a commitment, even a small one, you reinforce the message, I am someone who can be trusted. And trust in yourself is what builds identity. That's what forms character. Look around. The people who are clear, confident, and powerful, they didn't get there by accident. They're not relying on bursts of motivation or luck. They're not chasing every new trend or shortcut. They made a decision, this is who I want to be. And these are the actions I must repeat to become that person. Then they show up over and over again. Discipline is not a trait you're born with. It's a skill you train. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. The less you use it, the more it atrophies. But unlike physical muscles, the reps here are mental, emotional. Getting up when you want to sleep in. Finishing the work when no one's watching. Saying no to temporary pleasure for long-term value. Those moments, they are shaping your identity. And the beautiful part is, you don't need to do it all at once. You don't need a perfect routine, a flawless lifestyle, or an Instagram-worthy transformation. You just need to start. Start with something small and do it every day. That's it. Because the consistency is what matters. That's where real change happens. Discipline gives you freedom. That might sound contradictory, but it's not. Without discipline, you are a prisoner to your moods. You are controlled by cravings, distractions, and circumstances. But with discipline, you can rise above them. You can choose your path, not react to whatever path the world throws at you. You think you're tired, you think you're stuck, you think you lack motivation, but most of the time what you really lack is alignment. Your actions and your goals don't match. Your behavior doesn't match your vision. And the bridge between those two things is always discipline. No one will do it for you. No one is coming to force you to become the person you were meant to be. That's your job, your responsibility. And every morning, every moment is another opportunity to say, I'm going to follow through. Even if it's hard. Especially when it's hard. Because that's the thing, discipline doesn't make life easier. It makes you stronger. And that's strength. That's what lets you face the chaos of life with confidence instead of fear. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to want to. You just need to start. Again, today, right now, not because it's convenient, but because it's who you've decided to become. There's a moment each day, often quiet, often ignored, when you have a chance to look yourself in the mirror, not the physical one, but the inner one, and ask a question that most people avoid. Am I being honest with myself? That question is not easy to answer because the truth is uncomfortable. It doesn't flatter the ego. It doesn't make excuses. It doesn't soften its edges to protect your feelings. But it is necessary. Because without truth, especially internal truth, there is no growth, only illusion. Most people live in stories, not facts, not reality stories. Stories about why they can't change. Stories about why they're stuck. Stories that explain away their failures and justify their patterns. These stories are shields crafted not from truth, but from fear. They protect you from discomfort, but they also imprison you. They stop you from confronting the very things that would set you free. That's why telling the truth to yourself is not just noble, it's strategic. It is the first step toward clarity, and clarity is power. You can't fix what you won't face. You can't change what you pretend isn't broken. So when you start your day, you must begin by cutting through the noise, not just outside, but inside. You have to examine your own thoughts, your habits, your motives. You have to challenge your own narratives. Am I being honest about why I'm procrastinating? Am I really giving my best effort, or am I just telling myself I am? Do I actually want this goal, or am I chasing it because it looks good on paper? Those questions are painful, but they are pure. They don't manipulate, they illuminate. Most of the lies we tell ourselves don't come in the form of outright falsehoods. They're subtle. They come wrapped in justification and coated in comfort. I'm just tired today. I'll start tomorrow. It's not the right time. These are not statements of fact, they're permission slips to remain the same. And every time you accept one, you erode your own trust. You become a little less sure of who you are because deep down, some part of you knows you're not telling the truth. But when you start telling the truth, even just to yourself, you begin to change. Slowly, then suddenly. Because truth clears the fog. It burns away confusion. It forces you to see reality. And once you see reality, you can navigate it. You're no longer wandering blind. You're making deliberate choices. That's the foundation of strength, not bravado, not image, but alignment between who you are and what you do. Telling the truth also requires courage. You will see things you don't like, patterns you've repeated for years, weaknesses you've hidden, pain you've buried. But facing those things doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger because the moment you look them in the eye, they lose their power over you. You reclaim your agency. You're no longer a victim of circumstance. You become a participant in your own transformation. But let's be clear, this isn't about being brutally self-critical or obsessing over your flaws. It's about being grounded in reality. The point of truth is not to shame you, it's to awaken you. When you speak truth to yourself, you're not tearing yourself down. You're building a foundation that can actually support growth. False positivity and fake confidence may make you feel good temporarily, but they collapse under pressure. Truth doesn't. Truth endures. It holds up when life gets hard, when plans fall apart, when nothing goes as expected. Because when you know where you really stand, you can actually move forward. Every morning you have a choice. You can begin the day with distraction, denial, or delay, or you can begin it with honesty. It doesn't take long, just a few moments of stillness, of reflection, of real questions. What do I know I need to do today? Where am I letting myself off the hook? What am I avoiding? These aren't punishments. They are practices. And practice daily, they sharpen your mind, strengthen your will, and fortify your spirit. So speak truth, not just to others, but to yourself, especially to yourself. Because the greatest deception is not what the world tells you. It's what you choose to tell yourself when you're afraid to change. But you don't have to stay afraid. You just have to face what's real. And once you do, everything begins to shift, not instantly, but inevitably. Motivation is fragile, it's fleeting. It's the emotional high we get when inspiration strikes, when we hear a powerful story, when we see someone else achieve something incredible, when we watch a movie that moves us or read a book that lights a spark. But here's the reality, that spark doesn't last, it fades, and if your action is dependent on whether or not you feel motivated, you will live a life of inconsistency, frustration, and regret. There's a deeper foundation than motivation, and it's called meaning. Meaning gives you a reason to act even when you don't feel like it. It offers structure to your suffering. It transforms pain into purpose and turns struggle into growth. When your actions are rooted in meaning, you're not just reacting to how you feel in the moment, you're choosing to live in alignment with a purpose that transcends emotion. That's what gives your effort weight. That's what gives your choices direction. Most people wake up in the morning and ask themselves a dangerous question: do I feel like it? Do I feel like working? Do I feel like showing up? Do I feel like putting in the effort? And when the answer is no, they justify inaction. They fall into delay, distraction, or self-pity. But the question itself is flawed. Do I feel like it should never be the standard? The better question is, does this matter? And if it matters, if it aligns with your values, your goals, your responsibility, then the answer is not a feeling. It's a decision. That's why meaning is so powerful. It doesn't ask how you feel. It demands that you rise above that question entirely. You don't train because you feel like it, you train because you've decided to become strong. You don't study because it's fun, you study because you've chosen to become competent. You don't wake up early to prove something to others, you do it because you've given your time a purpose, and wasting it would be a form of betrayal. When your life has no meaning, every difficulty becomes unbearable. Every inconvenience becomes an excuse. But when your life does have meaning, suffering itself can become bearable. Not only bearable, it can become useful. When you find meaning in what you're doing, even the pain becomes a tool. The hardship becomes part of the narrative. It's no longer a reason to stop, it's a reason to keep going. It's evidence that you're walking a path worth walking. The people who change their lives, who build something worthwhile, who overcome the odds, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on conviction. They've answered the question, why does this matter? And they revisit that answer every single day. Because it's easy to forget, it's easy to get distracted, to fall back into comfort, to be seduced by ease. But if you wake up each morning and remind yourself, this is who I am, this is what I'm aiming at, this is why it matters you create a foundation that's stronger than emotion. Meaning doesn't guarantee you'll feel good. It guarantees you'll feel anchored. It doesn't take the pain away. It makes the pain worth it. And that's the key difference. Motivation seeks to remove pain. Meaning embraces it for a purpose. That's why meaning lasts and motivation fades. One wants to elevate you temporarily. The other demands that you build yourself over time. So the next time you feel tired, unmotivated, aimless, don't chase a quick fix. Don't scroll through videos or listen to music hoping to feel inspired. Sit in the discomfort. Ask deeper questions. What am I working toward? Why did I start this? What kind of person do I want to be? And when you find those answers, embed them into your morning. Reflect on them. Speak them. Let them shape your decisions before your feelings have a chance to interfere. Because in the end, it's not about doing things when it's easy. It's about doing them because they are right. Because they are necessary. And because they are yours to do. That is meaning. And that is what sustains you when motivation disappears. There's a certain kind of power that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't need applause. It's quiet, disciplined, and deliberate. It comes from the work done in private, the effort that no one claps for, the hours no one sees, the repetitions no one tracks. This is the essence of building in silence. When you stop chasing validation and start chasing virtue, when you stop performing and start constructing, that's when real transformation begins. In the modern world, we are constantly tempted by visibility. Social media platforms thrive on exposure, how much you show, how much you share, how often others notice what you're doing. But if you build yourself in the spotlight before you've built your character in silence, you're standing on hollow ground. External recognition is seductive, but it's unstable. The applause can stop. The attention can fade. And if that's what's been holding you up, you'll fall with it. That's why the most stable confidence is the kind that's forged in solitude. When you build in silence, you develop something that others can't give you and can't take away from you: internal credibility. You know who you are. You know the hours you've put in. You know the price you've paid. And that knowledge, even if unspoken, becomes a force. It shows up in how you carry yourself, how you speak, how you act under pressure. You don't need to scream your value. You embody it. The people who build in silence don't need constant feedback to keep going. They've learned to operate from principle, not praise. Their fuel is not likes or compliments, it's conviction. They've committed to a vision that exists beyond the moment. That kind of long-term focus isn't easy. It requires patience. It requires faith. It requires the ability to delay gratification and sit with discomfort while continuing to do the work. That's where strength is built in the process, not the performance. While others are obsessed with showcasing success, you must be obsessed with earning it. Not for applause, but for alignment, for integrity, for truth. Every moment you choose to stay focused, every time you repeat the fundamentals, every time you show up when it would be easier to quit, you're laying another brick in the foundation of your character. And over time, that foundation becomes unshakable. When others panic under pressure, you remain calm. When others need external motivation, you rely on internal purpose. When life hits hard you don't break easily because your strength wasn't built on approval. It was built in the silence, in the solitude, in the suffering that no one saw but you endured anyway. There's a certain kind of confidence that comes only from knowing you've done the work. You've put in the hours, made the sacrifices, faced your flaws, and corrected your course. You've failed privately and kept going anyway. And because of that, when the time comes to lead, to speak, to perform, you don't flinch. You're not pretending to be ready. You are ready. So many people want to be seen as strong without doing what it takes to become strong. They want the fruit without planting the seeds, without watering the soil, without waiting for the seasons to change. But real growth doesn't happen in public view. It happens in the dark, like roots digging into the ground. It happens in the early hours, the late nights, the quiet moments of decision. And if you learn to value those moments, to live in those moments, you'll build something no spotlight can fabricate. Eventually, the results will show. Not because you shouted, but because you built. The world will see what you've become, not because you demanded it, but because it became undeniable. But by then, you won't be doing it for the world. You'll still be doing it for the reason you started, for the purpose that anchored you in the beginning. And that's why it will last. So build in silence. Not because you have to hide, but because that's where strength is forged. Speak with strength, not because you want to be heard, but because what you say carries the weight of someone who's earned the right to speak. And when you walk into a room, let the discipline, the resilience, and the quiet fire of your private victory speak louder than your words ever could.